Hi everyone, I'm Lila Rosgood and welcome to a new video. After realizing there are players that don't speak Spanish but need help with this too, I'm remaking this video in English for you all guys. Remember, I'm not a native speaker, so there may be words I may mispronounce. I don't think anyone has explained what I'm going to cover here, not even in English, so I hope you find it helpful. Maybe someone else copied my ideas, but well, I was the original, okay? Just to clarify, everything I share is about the Roblox game World Zero, although some tricks may be useful in general as well. Nowadays, World Zero revolves almost entirely around collecting and the dress-up mechanic. It's undeniable that this is part of the gameplay. Today's topic will focus on hexadecimal colors. We'll understand what they are, how they work, and how to create our own templates and ranges. Because if you are new but have been to the marketplace, you probably saw people who, instead of saying they want a pink dress, they said,
I want an EAA dress.
And you obviously imploded, just like I did back then. So, a hexadecimal code, or HEX, consists of a number sign followed by 6 alphanumeric characters, from 0 to 9 and from A to F. Alpha refers to the letters and numeric refers to the numbers. These represent the intensities of the colors red, green, and blue in pairs. In English, the initials of these colors, red, green, and blue, form the acronym RGB, which you probably heard before. It's quite well known, famous, let's say. It's important to say it properly, okay? RGB, not RBG or BGR, no. It's RGB. Each one goes from 00, which is the lowest intensity, to FF, which is the highest intensity. In decimal, it's 255, and we call it hexadecimal code because its components are expressed in base 16.
Miss Lina, I don't quite understand.
Look over here, Pablo. This is the code for one of my items. Do you see the anatomy of the code? Here, I separated each pair to help you.
What's that underlined thing?
Ignore that for now. Please focus on the quantities of each color. We have A2 of red, A6 of green, and F6 of blue to form this lavender here. But what does A2 of red or F6 of blue mean? What quantity is that? That's confusing, right? Well, this way it's difficult to understand the quantities of each color because they're expressed in a different language than everyday's. That's why the topic of base conversion comes in. Yes, there's math behind the games, but don't worry, it's easy. It's easy here. Why do we need base conversion? Because what we want is to go from a different base, in this case hexadecimal, to the standard one we all use, base 10 or decimal. For this, we'll use polynomial decomposition. In this case, we are going to use the equivalent values of the letters because, of course, in a code there are numbers and letters, right? So we need to know the value of each letter. Here's a little chart with the equivalent values, see? Hexadecimal and decimal. Those are the values per unit, okay? Per unit. So, for the previous example, we'll start in order with the red component. Let's decompose A2. We multiply the first digit by 16 and add the second. We have A times 16 plus 2. But since A equals 10, we would have 160 plus 2, which gives us 162. We'll do the same with green and blue. And now we have the values for all three. It's quite clear here which is the largest quantity, which is the average, and which is the smallest. This will help us understand what's coming next. Look at the difference in values between each digit. ¿Estás que grabas, no imbécil? Sí, okay. For example, red, only A has an equivalent of 160, while the second digit is just 2. And the same thing happens for the rest. 128 and 240. They both are big numbers. Now I ask you, do you think the color would change a lot if the second value, that is, this over here, were 0? I mean, if we only kept the first digit of each pair. The answer is obviously no. This is why I underlined the first digits here. If you type this entire code into your inventory in the game, you most likely get nothing, or maybe with a lot of luck, an item. But try writing it like this. Sounds familiar, right? This is the structure advanced Word Zero players use when searching for a color. Basically because that way they don't miss out on items. I mean, searching for the exact code would be downright masochistic. Sure, some people do that, but if you do, you are sick.
Eres un enfermo, amigo.
Look over here. Here you have 4 examples of the AHF structure. Look, the highlights of each star are the color of each code. If I didn't tell you the codes are different, you think they were all the same lavender. Don't fool me, because there's always the special one who says, "No, I see it differently." Maybe if you look very closely and spend half an hour staring. Maybe. But let's not fool ourselves, please. They look the same. Well, we've learned how to create this annotation and its basics, but in my personal opinion, this still seems extremely limiting and you can miss out on a lot. Even with this structure, believe me.
I can give my opinion on how the World Series fandom seems to be traumatized by a letter. They may be shown up cute pastel blue and like that pastel blue, but they won't accept it because an F is different. But hey, we're not here to complain right now, are we?
If you don't want to miss anything, I'm going to show you how to create larger notations that can contain more colors and shades. The structure is, as you can see in the screen, and each represents an interval of the first digit. You'll visualize it better in this example. This is the address we based our AHF structure on from the previous example. We are going to use it here as well. In this case, only this address appears when I type AHF in my inventory, but I want more things to appear, other lavender objects. So let's say I want this tree to appear, for example. See, they are also lavender. What do? First, we are going to identify the lowest and highest value of each pair. You already have the chart with the values I shared with you, and you already know the order of the colors.
Remember that the second digit isn't useful for now. Forget about it.
For red, we have a minimum of 9 and a maximum of B. This gives us a range of 9 to B, and we do the same for the others. Then, we follow the same steps until we have our 3 ranges. When you write them according to the structure I've given you before, you'll see how more than one object spawns. Here, for example, I got more things I wouldn't have found if I had written them the way I did before. I would have missed all of them if I had simply used AHF. Yeah, this is very useful. Everything I've explained here is part of my learning over the years. I've been playing and observing the community as well as my own research. I wanted to share it with the few Spanish-speaking players and now with you, English-speaking players. I'd be so happy to know I've helped someone with this. I'll briefly talk about the special hexes. I'll split them into 2 categories, everyday and event hexes. Everyday hexes are available every day
of the year.
For example, RGB, Gold, 1E, and E6. Then there are those you'll find available during events like Death, Ice, Bat, and Decode. It's worth pointing out that there are 2 types of special hexes. Static color hexes with effects like Death or Ice, and others that actively change color like Bat or Decode. These aren't all the special hexes, okay? New ones are released every year, but this can give you a general idea. Also, don't try to apply everything we've discussed before to these special codes. Most of them only use those letters for wordplays. The actual colors are usually different. Now then, my stars, we've reached the end. Thanks for watching and supporting the content. Purple hearts for everyone. Lila out! Which you've probably heard about before. Which you probably heard about. ¿Por qué digo about? Hi everyone, I'm Lila Rosewood. Espérate. Voy a apagar el ventilador porque si no va a sonar. Ahí está, mejor. Yes, there's math behind. Behind! But since A equals to... you already have the table with the values, so the table not, the chart. Did I say table before? Please no.